guys, welcome to Career Kitab series episode number 5 powered by VAIs. So today we have invited a very special guest with us, Mr. Nakul Mittal. Let's
Hey,
uncover the journey of Mr. Nakul Mittal. So this journey belongs to a learner, a leader and a great observer too. And I am Ahmedabad alumni who has worked with Birla Company and is right now working in Usha International as the category head. Welcome to the show, Mr. Nakul, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
thank you, Anjali. Thanks for the nice introduction. Uh, it's a pleasure talking to you and be on the show. So I'm glad to help.
Yeah,
And
thank you so
yeah,
much. It's our pleasure actually. So, by the way, we want to know a lot of things in your of your journey because as your journey is very inspiring and obviously it's a dream for most of us. So let's uncover your journey from the student phase, if you say.
perfectly fine. That's perfect.
Yeah. So, Nakul, tell us that you have been into IIM Ahmedabad, right?
Yeah.
So, going in IIM was already in your bucket list, or it came during your job at Infosys?
So the year in which I got into IIM was my third attempt into CAT, but I would say that was my first serious attempt into the CAT. So doing an MBA was on my bucket list, but I think the preparation helped, and I mean I got the top college in India currently. But I would say that for me, it was my third attempt, and I already got admissions in other colleges during my first two attempts as well. But it was a conscious call for me to not join any college other than the top 10 colleges in India. But that's a very personal call. So I would not recommend that to him. But then I just wanted to wait for top 10 colleges, and that's how uh, 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 the year in which I got into Ahmedabad was, I mean, blessing in disguise.
Okay. So, tell us some. How was your IIM Ahmedabad interview?
Oh, it was a nightmare to start with. So during the interview, I mean, you can be asked questions regarding the length and breadth of whatever you have been through. So during my interview, I was asked questions about calculus. I was given a calculus problem to solve. I was asked question about the programming and how efficiently we can do programming regarding the various sorting techniques and other things. And I was also asked question about the fiscal deficit of India. So I mean, you really cannot predict what you can be asked during an IIM interview, and you have to be very well prepared. So you have to read newspapers, you have to be very well versed with your subjects, and you have to play with your strengths during the interview. So you'll get an option, you'll get opportunities to drive the interview in the way that you want the interview to be driven. But you have to make sure that wherever the direction that you are driving, you are very thorough with those subjects. So I mean that's a snapshot of the interviews that I've been through. I've been through many of the IIM interviews of difference. I've been to IIM Calcutta interview. I've been to IIM Lucknow interviews, and every one is different. Uh, I mean, it all depends on your day and what the panelists are experts in. So yeah, this is how it went. So yeah, preparation is the key. Preparation is the key for the interviews.
Cool. So tell us that what five must-do checklist point for the students who are preparing for CAT and dreaming for IIMs. And before answering this question, this question being answered by you, I would ask all the audience to please keep a pen and paper with you so that you can jot down the important points being suggested by Mr. Nakul. Yeah.
Sure, Anjali. So foremost thing is practice your subjects. So it's not necessary at this phase of time to join any coaching classes. I mean, if you join, it's always better. But you can practice the questions through the books or through the study materials that you can get from various places. I mean, foremost thing is that read a lot, especially newspapers, business newspapers like Economic Times. If you're not very fond of Economic Times, read papers like Indian Express or Hindu. And the reason why I'm telling this is it helps broaden the perspectives. It helps increasing your reading speed, which in turn helps you in your verbal ability and solving the paragraph questions. Uh, Take mock tests. I mean, mock tests are awarded by various institutes like Time or Career Launcher. You can even go through the mock test books that are there online as well as offline. So take mock tests and go through the solutions after you have solved those mock tests. Because sometimes your solution may be right, but may not be most efficient. So going through the solutions and learning from there is another step that you should take. Uh, don't wait for the last moment to start your preparation. I mean, you most of us get year plus to do the test. I mean, solving some amount of questions daily, learning some amount of stuff daily is much more efficient than doing all the things at one go. So I mean, prepare every day. Take out some time from your busy schedule and prepare every day. And if not at the start, after you have got scores in the CAT, join an institute or join a group where you can do mock GD preparations or mock interview preparations. It helped me a lot because I mean you get to learn from other people, and in turn it helps to widen your horizon of thinking, and I mean gives you a first hand feedback of where you're doing good and where you're not doing good. So these are some of the things that you can take. Obviously, I mean, it depends on person to person, and there are a lot of stuff that you have to do. But these are five broad things that if you do, it will help in your preparation of getting good scores in CAT and going through a good institute, getting through a good institute.
Okay. One more question was, I mean, there are several confusion in the mind of students that whether they should be joining their local coaching institute or else self study or else joining the Time or kind of big coaching institutes like Time and CL is good. So, what is your opinion in that?
I
In this?
I don't think it's about an institute. I think it's more about the preparation and bringing in discipline. Even if it's a local institute or an institute like Career or Time Launch, as long as you are disciplined with your approach in attending the classes regularly and learning a part of the course daily, I think any institute is fine. So it all depends on what you're getting to learn, whether you are well suited with the pedagogy of that institute. If the pedagogy of the institute is not suitable for you, obviously you can try different institutes. But I think it's more about the discipline of daily learning rather than anything else. Because in terms of the course content, I don't think it's varied enough across the coaching centers. More or less, you will be covering the same subjects and the same aspects. It's just about which suits you most to your style of learning, and you can actually go ahead and do that. So my personal experience, so I took time coaching classes when I was in the fourth year of engineering. So that time it was a full course that I took, but for the next 2 years I didn't take any coaching, and I took Career Launcher interview plus GDPI coaching after I cleared. I mean, after I got scores for my CAT. So again, so to give you a fact that it depends on individual learning. As long as you're disciplined, I think it's fine.
Okay. Cool. So, some myths about IIM Ahmedabad, which you can share or you want to
I
share.
think from my personal experience, I've heard a lot of people who tell that if you don't have 90% in your boards, it is very difficult for you to get into CAT. I don't think that's true. Obviously, board scores are given weightage, but I mean, your CAT score plus your interview and GDPI also holds a lot of weightage for you into getting into IIM. So, I mean, that's one myth. Second myth is like if you have a score of let's say 99.5 percentile or above, you'll surely get into IIM, good top IIMs. I think that is also not true because CAT score carries a weightage of let's say 30 to 40% itself. I mean, it changes year on year. For my year, it just carried a weightage of 30%. So even if you have got good score, there is a very important step of going through the GDPI or writing uh, uh, an essay or the various aspects which they have in that particular year. So that carries more weightage itself than the score that you have got. So it's not complete unless until you get a call from the institute. So you have to be thorough in each and every step of the process of going into an IIM. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess most of the students have got answers about IIM Ahmedabad. One more thing that what is your experience of exchange program?
It's fun. So it depends where you go, right? So I went to Booth Business School, US. I mean, Booth is, let's say, one of the top 5 institutes of the world. So the pedagogy that they follow is very different from what the IMs follow in India or and perhaps any other institute. So there you get a chance to work on a lot of live projects as a part of your course. And here, let's say in one trimester, you have close to 17, 18 subjects. But there, if you have to take more than 3 subjects in a trimester, you need to have a approval from the director that you will be able to justify taking more than 3 courses in that trimester. So there, I mean, the seriousness about each course I feel is much higher. But then the breadth of the learning that people experience over there is very narrow. So here, I mean, there they seldom have a concept of general management. You need to be clear right from the very start of what stream you need to follow. And that's why when you see the profile of students going into such institutes, I mean, minimum experience, I would say, will be 4 to 5 years working experience are the people who go into those kind of schools, US business schools. I mean, the profile of students are very different. The seriousness is different, and the style of coaching itself is very different. So, I mean, both are good in their own perspective, but yeah, it's.
So there it might be something kind of executive program, na, which you were saying that they require 4 to 5 years of experience.
No, that's not an executive program. It's very similar to the 2 years program that we have. So, I mean, the fundamental of taking students in those institutes is different. So it's like a bit extended version of ISB. If it's a like-to-like comparison that you want to draw.
Okay, cool. So should the students go for the exchange programs if they got an opportunity, or should they continue with the normal 2 year thing?
From my experience, I think they should. They should, because they get to learn the cross-cultural differences. They get to learn about how the world works and how various different aspects of the learning that they can explore. So I think it's a from a must thing. So I don't regret going for an exchange program. In fact, you get a lot of stories to talk when you go into an exchange program, and life stories are which are important, which stays with you throughout your career. So I mean, according to me, it's a must thing that everyone should experience during a part of their MBA program.
Cool. Well, it was really very awesome. So this was all about your student life. So let's now uncover some of your professional life experience too. So tell us something about your life at IIM Ahmedabad, or your second entry after your into this corporate world after IIM Ahmedabad.
Sure. So if life, let's say pre-Ahmedabad was a bicycle, after Ahmedabad it has been a Ferrari. So I mean, it's like super fast. You'll have ups and downs, but when you reflect after some time, it's the downs which have taught you more than the ups. So I mean, you'll get to work on a lot of things. Again, that depends on where you go and what you do. From my personal experience, I mean, I have got very important projects of the company or the group to work on. It has been of immense learning experience, right from doing project management to strategy, and finally ending up with product management plus marketing. So it has been a super fun journey, and I hope this continues going forward as well. So yeah, so first 2 years I was doing more of a project management and strategy kind of role. Next 4.5 to 5 years I've been actively working in the product management, product marketing, and the marketing. So yeah, that's what it has been.
Okay. So, what exactly is project management, strategy, and product management? I mean, you have worked in several profiles in your industry, in CK Birla Group, and in several other industries. So, what skills and courses are required that one must have for being into these profiles?
So, firstly, I mean, from a skill perspective, you need to have thorough understanding of how the projects work and what all things are required to make a project work. Right from defining the project charter to identifying the key people who can be a part of the project team, to executing the project, and if required, even driving people above your level or below your level in order to meet the objectives. So that is what project management is. So there is a project plan, there is a sequential steps that you break down the project plan into. You map the timelines of each of those small uh, uh, events of the project. You identify the skill sets, you execute, and you deliver. So that is what project management is, and it's a very important part of even the overall product marketing or the product management work that you do, because at any point of time you'll be working on various projects, and each of those projects will be at different stages. So some of the projects may be at the start of the phase, some of the projects may be at the middle of the phase or towards the end. You need to manage all those projects simultaneously while doing your other work apart from the project management as well. This is the most important thing that you should learn. Another thing is stakeholder management. So stakeholder management is a product management role is a very central kind of role where you are kind of the CEO of the product that you are launching or driving. So all the decision making will be yours, and sometimes you'll have to push some very senior people, even to the extent of sales heads or the factory heads, for your objective to be met. So stakeholder management, understanding what is important for them, understanding what is important for you, striving a balance in the middle, and basis this balance, achieving the objectives that a project requires is something that you must have to learn for this role. You should have a thorough understanding of the costing and how income statements are. So some amount of financial understanding you should have, because you will be doing the pricing or the scheme management for your products. So unless you have that, that's a half-baked egg that you will be left with. So you must have an understanding of that. And the most important, that you should be a customer success champion. Customer insights is the biggest key for any product management guy, because he should know what is the actual need of the customer. He should conduct researches. He should conduct in-depth interviews to find out what the latent or the actual needs are, in turn to revise the product that you already have or launch new products that you might have. So, these are certain skills that is a part of the product management role that you require and you must have. So obviously there are a lot of other things, but the basic core skills are this that you must have.
Okay, so I think the people who want to go into strategy or product or project management might have got, they must have got the gold kind of information with you. This is something really very great. Uh, I hope that the student it will prove to be a great for those who are listening to this right now. So tell us, Mr. Nakul, that how what are the different profiles in marketing? And there is also one myth in the among the students, that in order to go into these strategical profiles like the ones that you have, one has to go through the sales, and then to marketing, and then one can go into strategy. How much do you agree to this, and what do you think about this?
See, nowadays, with the career cycles becoming strong, there is no one path that you can have in order to achieve a particular profile. You can have multiple paths, but the sales, having a sales kind of role first and then going into marketing is always a big plus, and it always helps in understanding the market and then generating insights out of it. But in fact, nowadays, I don't completely agree with this fact. If so, there is one thing that you learn as a part of the journey. There is other thing that you have as a skill set that you have developed through other projects or ideas that you have done at the past. So it's not a fixed and fast rule that you must have gone through sales and then come into marketing in order to achieve a role of, let's say, product management or strategy that we are talking about. It's just one of the ways. The other way can be that you are doing a horizontal role, and then kind of move into this role where you are a part of the product management team or driving a particular product or category. So it's not a fixed rule, but it's the most common rule that exists today. But for the last 2 to 3 years, things have been changing, and I have during my experience, I've not seen a lot of sales folks coming into product marketing in the last 2 to 3 years. So it's always people who have had experience of analytics, who have had experience of marketing, uh, and even trade marketing, guys moving into product marketing and doing a good job.
Okay, cool. So, any of your life incident or incidents which you would love to share with us? Anything?
So before we move forward, I think you had one more question of what are the different
Yeah, profiles in
profiles
marketing.
in marketing.
Right.
If you see now, there are a lot of profiles. It depends on the companies and sectors. But broadly, if I have to classify, it's brand management. Now, brand management can include the PR aspect or may not have the PR aspect. It can be a separate team. So it depends on the company or the sector. Uh, then there is product category marketing that we were talking about. Then there is the trade marketing who are in charge of the BTL activities mostly. By BTL activities, we mean the shop boards, the POSMs, the catalog distribution, rural marketing. So all those aspects come into trade marketing. Then there is digital marketing. So I mean broadly these four aspects are there. Obviously in all these aspects, customer marketing is a part of those aspects. So these are basically 4 or 5 different uh, aspects of marketing, 4 to 5 different streams of marketing that we generally see in any organization. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Cool. So now next question comes to this, that your any of your life incidents or incidences which you would love to share with us.
many, but the most fun-loving experience for me have been, growing a premium segment in an industry which has been largely seen as a commodity industry, mainly fans we are talking about, and growing the premium segment in the company by more than 1,000%. This has been a fun roller coaster ride, and it brings us to the fact that uh, first you have to internalize that your industry or your product is not a commodity, it's a premium product. So first that conviction has to set in. You have to convince the immediate stakeholders that it's a premium product and you can command premium pricing for it. And then first 2 steps if you do, it's 70% work completed, and then the ball starts rolling very fast. So if the internal guys are convinced about the product and the pricing, the external guys get convinced at even a faster pace. So it's fun journey. Last close to 2.5 3 years, and last 2.5 to 3 years, we have grown this segment by more than 1,000%. So it has been a fun learning and a very important experience from my life perspective in my career. So yeah.
Correct. So that means that even though if you are working in for any product, even that product is a commodity, it's on you how you treat it as a premium and how you sell it in the premium form,
Uh,
right?
yeah, but also the product has to be good. So for you
Correct.
to drive this kind of a growth, first you need a solid product, and for a very good product, you need to have key customer requirements built into that product. So if you have that,
Hmm.
you can go. You can command pricing uh, 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 that justifies the value that you have in your mind for that product.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So, Mr. Nakul, right now you know that how the situation is going on in the entire world, including many of the people and even the economic advisors of India and several other people are predicting this as the recession in India, and not only in India but in this world. So, what do you think? Will this recession going to hit deeper, and when can the youth expect the revival of jobs? And how much more time will it take?
Yeah. So firstly, I don't think that the world has yet hit the recession. Trust me, the recession scenarios are far worse than what we're experiencing now. Uh, uh, going off,
Hmm?
going next to the revival, I think uh, we are yet to see how the situation gets in next 2 to 3 months. If the situation improves, then the revival will not be far behind. So let's say the situation improves over the next 2 to 3 months. I mean, the revival can start at a very strong pace, especially in India, let's say after 4 to 5 months. So it all depends on where do we stop, especially currently with the second wave hitting in many of the countries. So once this gets over, the revival will happen at an exponential pace. I mean, especially in a country like India, which is a high growth country. So I think
Hmm.
a lot of positives exist for people or the students, especially getting into colleges now, because that will be the golden scenario, let's say after 2 years or 3 years when they graduate with good jobs, with solid, stable jobs coming into picture. So, yeah. So one man's
Okay.
loss is another man's opportunity. So this is what I think will happen for the class which is going to graduate after 1 to 2 years at least.
Very true. Correct. What are must have hard and soft skills to learn in this lockdown period
Mhm.
to get into the different profiles of marketing strategy or product or project?
So some of the things that we have also talked about. First, learn project management. Very important thing to do. Learn digital marketing,
Mhm.
because no matter what stream of marketing you get into, with the world becoming more digitized and the spending pattern of the company improving or increasing on the digital front, you should have basic knowledge about how digital marketing works and how you can not only market your product but also collect the feedback online. So this is something that you can learn. Get equipped with tools like Excel, PowerPoint, and Tableau. Uh, 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 it's very important. No matter what you do in marketing, you should have skills of Excel and PowerPoint. And if you have some additional experience of tools like Tableau, it's going to add to your benefit. Learn about how market researches are done unbiasedly. So learn about that. You may not require to learn a lot of statistics which comes with it, but how do you go to the customer and collect feedback in an unbiased way, something that you should learn. And last thing, but
Okay.
very important thing that you should learn is costing. So a lot of people in marketing don't realize it, but if you're doing product marketing, you should absolutely know how costing works for you to take a decision in a comprehensive way. So yeah, this is what
Hmm.
you should do.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Last but not the least,
Mhm.
courses that a student must learn in this lockdown period to get a good command over data crunching, because as you know that today data crunching is equally used in almost all the profiles.
So part of the answer got covered in the last question that we talked about. So learning the
Yeah.
skills of Excel and Tableau will add to you analyzing those data. Obviously, that's something that you must do. You can learn certain basic statistical techniques like regression, which will help in developing the forecasting aspects which are required as part of the product marketing for you. But most important thing that is required more than data crunching is visual understanding of business context. If you understand the business context and what are you trying to drive out of the problem that exists before you, I mean more than half the work is already done. And rest the tools now have become sophisticated enough for them to help you solve any complex problem that exists in a company. Unless you want to become a data scientist, that's a completely different story. But apart from for a normal product marketing role, I think these tools and techniques are sufficient enough for you to do well in your role that exists.
Cool. Awesome. Guys, this was Mr. Nakul Mittal who was telling us about the different roles and how to get into it and what are the different skills that we can learn in this lockdown period. I hope this podcast was insightful to you. For you, until then, stay tuned for more such awesome career podcasts with some more great industry experts. Well, thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you,
Nakul, for
Anjali.
accepting our invitation and being here with us.
It was great to talk to you. Thank you.
Same here. Guys, if you have any doubts or queries regarding your career, just leave a message or voicemail, or else you can also WhatsApp us at our official number. The number is mentioned in the channel description box. And you can also follow Mr. Nakul in his social media profile with the pen name Nakul Metal. Thank you so much